You know what question I keep hearing from business owners everywhere? How do we actually make AI work for us? And look, I get it. The possibilities are endless, but guessing is way too risky when it comes to your business operations. Here's the thing. Sitting on the sidelines isn't an option either, because one thing is almost certain. Your competitors aren't waiting around. They're already making their move. No more waiting. With NetSuite by Oracle, you can put AI to work today with confidence. NetSuite is the #1 AI cloud ERP, and it's trusted by over 43,000 businesses. What makes it powerful is that it's a unified suite. It brings your financials, inventory, commerce, HR, and CRM all together in a single source of truth. That connected data is the key. That's what makes your AI actually smart. Instead of guessing, it knows what's happening in your business. It intelligently automates your routine tasks, delivers actionable insights, and helps you cut costs while making fast AI-powered decisions with real confidence. And here's the part that really stands out. You've got total flexibility. With NetSuite AI Connector, you can use the AI of your choice and connect it to your actual business data. You can ask every question you've ever had. Who are my key customers? What's my cash on hand right now? What are my inventory trends looking like? Plus, you can automate all those tiresome manual processes that nobody wants to deal with. Let's see your competitors do that. This isn't yet another tool that you're trying to bolt onto your existing systems. This is an AI built into the system that actually runs your business from the ground up. Whether your company earns millions or even hundreds of millions, NetSuite helps you stay ahead of the pack. If your revenues are at least in the seven figures, get our free business guide, Demystifying AI, at netsuite.com/SPI. The guide is free to you at netsuite.com/SPI, netsuite.com/SPI. Let me ask you a question. What are you a fan of, or who are you a fan of? We got some fan/super fan stories today to share with you. And I'm here back with Liz, our community director at SPI. And there's a lot of, we were like, we got to just hit record because we were talking a bunch right before this. We got to capture these moments. We're also going to share some super fan stories from some of our community members inside of SPI. And before we go into that, however, let's just talk about like the craziness of what a super fan is. A super fan is somebody who will go out of their way to want to be a part of your ecosystem, to want to be a part of your environment, to show up to your live streams, to buy your products before even reading the sales page. They just see an email come in and they start buying. I mean, you have super fans, Liz, both from the Survivor era and LizWilcox.com in the email era, who just, they love you. They buy everything. Like, tell me about some of your super fans.
Yeah, well, number one, I just want to recognize that it is wild to me to have super fans. Like, I'm just a lady, right? Like, when things like the stories we're about to tell you, when things like that happen to me, it's a very humbling experience, right? It really shows me that, you know, my work matters and I need to keep going and I need to stay true to my values because those things matter not only to me, but to those super fans.
Right.
Oh, I'm getting chills, like legitimately.
We haven't even gotten to the stories yet.
Right. So yeah, I have super fans. I was literally just pulling up. I have a folder in my Gmail where, you know, on those days that I'm feeling bad, of these super fans where people are just coming in saying, thank you so much. I'm so excited for the work you do. You finally got me to do XYZ, right? I teach email. So I finally am able to be consistent because of you. I was just, before we recorded this, I did a live panel with some people and there were some super fans in the chat that said, oh, I'm here because of Liz. Liz is the only person that could get me consistent in my email. I used to think email was boring, but now I know it's fun. And that's because of Liz. And it just blows my mind. So I just love it though.
I have so many interactions with people that have, like, just again, to your point, that has shown me that my work matters. And this happened, it actually first started happening in 2010 after I launched the SPI podcast.
Yeah.
16 years ago. Because I was a blogger back then. Just like when you started, I was blogging. I was blogging 3 times a week and I was podcasting maybe once every other week because it was hard for me to get going. But I remember going to Blog World Expo in 2010 and I had so many people come up to me and I thought I was a nobody, right?
Right.
And they were like, Pat, dude, I loved when you told that story about so-and-so, or like, how's April doing? And like, how's County? Like, you were in the marching band, like, so was I. And they started talking to me like we've been friends for years. And I'm like, wait, hold up. What's your name? Like, who are you? And it kind of tripped me out at first.
Yeah.
And I was actually really scared about it because I was like, these people seemingly know a lot about me. and I don't know anything about them.
Yeah, it's a parasocial relationship.
Right, which there's a good and evil to that, right?
Yeah.
Like we'll talk maybe about some of that as well. We're not going to tell horror stories. Thankfully, I haven't had anything
Me neither.
terrible happen. And I think boundaries is important, like being smart about, showing where you are and when and all that kind of stuff. Like I talk about that in my book, Superfans. Like there's a dark side to that. You got to protect yourself, but your superfans will go to at bat for you. They will tell you when something's going wrong before you even know about it, right? They will defend you from trolls that are out there. Like these fans do so much, let alone be customers for life, right? Which is also cool. But I eventually realized that all this attention, all this like knowledge about my work was a sign that it was actually impacting them, that they were allowing me to enter their lives in a regular kind of way, like listening to my show every day or watching me on YouTube every day. I'm now seeing it similar in the Pokemon space as well, where when I meet people, they're like, oh, thank you, because we do so much more than just create content. We give them relief. We pull them away from the stresses of life. We give them something to look forward to. We give them a sense of belonging. And that means so much. We never see these people because they're on the other end of this thing we call the internet.
Yeah.
But when you see them in person, it just changes everything.
It's so wild. What Pat said reminded me of a story I had forgotten about. So I went on my first cruise in 2025, just my daughter and I. And we were going to Alaska, and I didn't know, if you've ever been on a cruise, the first time is really overwhelming. They're like shuffling you in like cattle, right? Like first this, then this, then this. And I'm at the luggage station, I guess is what you call it. And I'm trying to hand this guy a bag. I'm waiting my turn, and he turns around and his whole face, oh my gosh, you're Liz Wilcox. And of course, my daughter, she's like, oh my gosh, yeah, whatever, just mom, she's like, whatever, mom. And I said, yeah, so nice to meet you. And I shook, what's your name? Oh, my name's Jess, whatever. And he said, my wife and I have a text thread that is just GIFs of you, like GIF, GIF. And he said, we communicate with just your face.
No way.
It was the wildest ride I had ever, but my daughter, of course, you could have a GIF of just her face because she was like, oh my gosh, don't tell her that. She'll be beaming all day, teenagers. And it was just the wildest thing. But to what Pat said, it made me realize what an impact I have. It is the greatest honor. It is the greatest blessing of my entire life to bring joy to people that I didn't even know I was bringing joy to. It is such a large part of me that I didn't even know that I would want in my life. And I love it so much. I take it so seriously. I don't take myself very seriously, if you can't tell by the tie-dye and the backwards cap. But I take my people very seriously.
Yeah.
That person, the way that I've impacted him, it would just rebounded to me 1,000%.
For sure. That's what I love
so
about
intense.
the internet. Oh my gosh. Like the ability for us to connect with people and make people happy from afar, which helps us feel happy and helps us want to help others. Like I heard this a long time ago. There was a woman who created these products. I don't even remember what they were about, but I remember one specific thing she said. Her name was Nicole Dean. And she had a phrase that was like, just leave the internet a better place than when you arrived. And I was like, that's it. That is absolutely it. And when you do that, people will gravitate toward you and they'll share you. They'll wave your flag high. And it just grows your brand and brings all this positivity. And we need that, especially in the world today. So all this to say, we're not here to be like, look how awesome we are and like, look at all the fans we have. We're telling these stories because we thought we were nobodies too.
Right.
But you are somebody. You're somebody. We are all somebody who can impact somebody's life in a different way. And your vibe attracts your tribe. There are people out there who will only respond to you because you are you. Just like there's people who will only respond to me and people who will only respond to Liz. And you have to realize that about yourself. And it's hard to get to that point. It takes time. That's why we have the Superfan system, and we want to help you get discovered and then build your audience and then subscribers and, serve them and then eventually have Superfans. It doesn't happen overnight. But Superfans happen from the moments that you create for people over time. And so we wanted, again, to tell these stories, and we're going to share some stories from the SPI community here. But these are stories, we've told a few stories here and there about people who've responded to us. Like I remember this whole conversation is just triggering fun memories of,
I know,
of things
I'm
like
having
this.
so much fun.
I went to an event a long time ago, and I met a fan. His name is Ernesto. And he handed me this board that had this sort of like art piece on it that was a DeLorean from Back to the Future, because like a lot of my super fans know I'm a big fan of Back to the Future, and it said like Pat to the Future.
Oh, cool.
And on it, I look closer, and it's string that is woven into this board and glued on with beeswax, which is like an ancient Mexican art form, because he was Mexican and he practices his art. And so I have this board. I still have it at home today. It's just like this person took 2 weeks out of his time to give this to me.
Wow.
And it's like, that's a lot of time, but also I can't even fathom how much of an impact I had made to him. And I had never even met him up until then.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And it goes back to, we're not telling these stories, like Pat said, like, look at me, but it just, the profound impact you can make on people, like what's possible. I think that's what I love about Pat. That's what I'm trying to do over here, is just to show people what's possible.
Your super fans will show up for you. And that's the cool thing about it.
And you'll show up for them. That's what these stories, and when these things happen to me, it makes me double down.
Right.
Like it makes me like slam my fist down, like, okay, I'm in this with you. That's what I love about it, is it's so reciprocal, and it makes me double down on my goals, finding more people that I can help do whatever they want to do, and I can get that feeling again. I just love it so much.
It's so addicting.
It kind of is.
And when you use that for good, right?
Yes.
Like some people use this for bad. They're like, okay, now I'm getting all this attention. Give me more money. Praise me more, and then they start talking about it as if they're like the ish, right? Like the number one person in the world. It's like, that's not what it's about. It's about you receiving this energy so you can give it back to even more people.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate you saying that, because that's an important thing. And a lot of people, I've had friends who have become famous online who are no longer my friends. They changed. They absolutely changed. Mm-hmm. And it's important that we hold each other accountable. It's important that we know why we're doing what we're doing.
Pat brought up something a couple minutes ago about your super fans will keep you accountable too.
Yeah.
When you really care, you're going to hear them when they say whatever, right? Like I had written something, and it was a little more formal than what I normally write. It was a little more oomph and a little less, And this person wrote me back, especially in the age of AI. She said, Liz, this sounds different. Did you use AI? And I made her a video. I'm all about making videos. And I said, hey, I appreciate that. Actually, when I wrote it, I really sat with it on how I wanted this to come across, because it was a little more serious of a topic. I really wanted to drive people to action. So it was a lot less jokes than normal.
This felt different.
A lot less booze and babes at the end of sentences. And I said, I actually did write this, but it did come from a different place. But I loved that she called it out, because it was something I was kind of thinking over here in my brain anyway, right? And I thought, well, let me give this more than just the first draft. Let me write this and rewrite this again so that there is no question. So it's when you really care, those super fans will keep you accountable as well.
Yeah, they keep you in check.
They do.
That's for sure, which is good. You want that,
yes.
right? Just like my wife, same thing. She's like, don't do that. I was like, okay.
So if you've been following me for a while, you know that I've built a lot of websites over the years, from my very first site back in 2008 to Smart Passive Income, Deep Pocket Monster, and everything in between. And one thing that's always been a headache, making updates. And you know how it goes. You have a great idea for a new landing page, or you want to test a different headline, and suddenly you're either wrestling with some complicated platform or waiting days for someone else to make it happen. And it kills your momentum, and honestly, it kills opportunities too. Because here's the thing, your website is the one touch point every single customer has with your brand. It should be working for you, not against you. And that's exactly the problem Framer solves. Framer is a no-code website builder that gives your team the power to design, publish, and manage your entire site without relying on engineers. Real-time collaboration, a robust CMS built for SEO, advanced analytics with A/B testing, and enterprise-grade hosting and security all built in. Companies like Perplexity and Miro use Framer because changes go live in seconds. Literally, one click and you're published. No tickets, no waiting, no bottlenecks. Whether you're a startup testing your first landing pages or an established business ready to migrate your full .com, Framer makes it possible to move at the speed of your ideas, not the speed of your dev queue. If simple updates to your website feel harder than they should, you're leaving opportunity on the table. Learn how you can get more out of your .com from a Framer specialist, or get started building for free today at framer.com/SPI for 30% off a Framer Pro annual plan.
That's framer.com/SPI for 30% off. Framer.com/SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Similar story back in 2011. I was doing this thing called the niche site duel, which is one of the things I did earlier on that put me on the map, where a guy, his name was Tyrone, he reached out to me and he's like, hey, Pat, let's partner together. Let's each build a website from scratch together and make it public. Because I think it would be fun for people to kind of see, this progress together. And like, we can make it a little competition. Who's going to make money from our new websites first? So
I love this.
I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
So we called it the niche site duel, and we kind of gave an update every week on where our websites were at. Mine was about security guards. His was about like supplements or something like that. And in 73, I won, by the way. In 73 days, I got security guard training to #1 in Google and started making money first. And then his followed after. And it was like a great lesson for everybody. And then we ended up partnering together we were creating a course and all these things together to teach people how to do this, because people wanted like a little bit more insight. And then Tyrone came out and created a video that basically said that all the numbers he was sharing online were complete lies, that he was just making the numbers bigger than they were because he got caught up in the wind of it all and wanted to look better and wanted to impress people. I guess his guilty conscience came across, and he was like, I need to let it all out. As we were putting this course together, and I got hundreds of emails from people saying, Pat, I don't know if I could trust you because you didn't see that happening. Or maybe you guys were working together and you convinced him to do that. And now he's coming out and he didn't want to put you on blast, but I don't know if I could trust you anymore. And I really had to pay more careful attention of who I was working with and how deep I was going to go with them, because I had no idea. And so my audience was like, Pat, dude, I don't know if I could trust you. That really helped, because it made me pay attention to who I would partner with more in the future. And I don't know what Tyrone's doing, but thankfully I was able to make up for that with just continually showing up, providing value, and moving forward from that. We never launched that course, even though it was very close. I just couldn't in good conscience launch that anymore, even though it was great, just because of that partnership.
Yeah, wow, that's a really vulnerable story. And when you're building an audience, especially trying to get to that super fan level, you have to protect the audience. I do a lot of collaborations. I'm always about collabs over competition. That's how I grow my list, grow my audience. I kind of talk about, I've built this thing without any ads. Mm-hmm. And I do that because I partner with people. But I spend a lot of time, the thing that people don't see is I do spend a lot of time, looking up people. Do they have a mission and a values statement? Let me friend them on Facebook and see what they've been posting for the last couple of years, because especially at this point, I've been at this for 10 years. I'm extremely protective of my people. Right. And I really try very hard to only bring on partners and collaborators that I know are going to mesh well. And another thing, I do a lot of podcast interviews. Hello. And there are some podcasts that I either would never pitch or I would say no to, because the community vibe, as Pat called it, that's specifically curated. I only want the people that I want inside there, right? I want us to all get along to further the mission and vision and, stand firm in our values.
That's our responsibility.
Absolutely.
As community.
I love that word.
It is. It's something that you don't necessarily quote unquote sign up for it, but as you grow your community, that becomes your responsibility. You are the leader of that group of people, and your actions speak way louder than words. This involves money when it comes to affiliate relationships and things you start promoting, especially as you grow bigger, especially as you get more super fans who are loyal. Mm-hmm. Brands will want to get in front of that, and they're going to pay you a lot of money to want to get in front of those people. In the Pokemon space, I'm seeing this right now. I'm getting so many offers for crypto related things. And I'm just like, thankfully, I know enough now and have gone through these things before to immediately say no and not be swayed by those numbers. And that's where a lot of people get into trouble. They say yes to these deals, and then they're beholden to whatever's in those terms, and then their audience suffers because of it, and then trust goes away. And the trust you have with your audience is the most important thing. We're in a trust recession right now, as I talked about before in a previous podcast episode. So that's really important. I mean, one example of that here at SPI is, a while back, Tony Robbins wanted to collaborate with me.
Oh, wow.
Which is big name, Tony Robbins. Yes, why wouldn't you say yes to that? And I was like, this did not fit in that group of people that he was associating with, Frank Kern and a number of these internet marketing people. I was just I've been trying to stay away from those people.
Yeah, it's a totally different vibe.
No, I don't want to be an internet bro.
Yeah.
So I think, and that's something that I don't put out there and I share like, hey, everybody, like, guess who tried to come in my space? And I said no, because I care about you.
Right.
Like, this is the first time most people are hearing about it. But those are the things you have to practice in order to protect your people.
Right.
And your brand and the trust that you've built up.
Yeah. Boundaries, having them.
It takes a long time to build trust with an audience, but it just takes a moment to lose it. So you got to be very careful.
Ooh, that's true. But it isn't all so doomsday, right? Like, let's read some fun stories, Pat. Let's read some fun stories.
Yeah. No, let's do it. Actually, before we get into the community stories, like we've talked about people being fans of us. Like, what are you a fan of, or who are you a fan of? And tell me about that.
Oh my gosh, I'm obviously a huge NSYNC girly. Sorry, April.
Yeah, April's Backstreet Boys.
I love NSYNC so much. And when I was growing up, they were in the height of their popularity, right? I'm born in 88. So I was like all about that. But I also grew up incredibly poor. So I could never even dream of even asking my mom to go to a concert or buy this or that. And I finally got a chance because, they're on hiatus, right? They went on hiatus in 2001 and they just never came
Still
back.
on hiatus, yeah.
Right. I refuse to say they broke up. They're on a hiatus, okay? But I used to live in Orlando, and Joey Fatone, one of the singers, he does a Joey and Friends every year at Disney. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go this year. And I went, and I was so ridiculous. I was having my daughter take pictures of me, like, where the stage was in the background. And I'm like, oh, get the stage. And, she's like this tall. So I'm like, it's the wrong angle. Step on, climb up on that pot, or whatever. And I got as close as I could. And then when Joey came out, I thought I was going to die. I just never in my wildest dreams did I ever think, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in proximity to this person, this person that I had on my walls and I had in my ears for, a decade. And then Lance Bass came out. Look at me now. And I could not speak for 2 days. I was
Oh my gosh. So where did that come from? Like what made you a super fan of NSYNC?
I love to dance, and they are the ultimate dancers. I don't care who you are. Nobody can hold a candle to that synchronized bye choreography. And when I was a girl, I wanted to be a choreographer. And I lived in a town of 200. It's probably about the size of this building we're sitting in. But I would dream of somebody discovering me one day. And so I would literally in my yard dance my little tookish off to anything and everything. And I would make up these dances. And then NSYNC came on the scene, and they were so literally in sync with their dancing. And I was like, I want to be like that.
So they were an inspiration for you. Like
Absolutely.
They fueled your love of dance and choreography.
Absolutely.
Who's the choreographer? What was his name again? I can't remember.
Wade Robson.
Wade Robson, yeah. There's a picture of April with Wade Robson at a dance studio from a while back. So she is a fan of NSYNC. She just likes Backstreet Boys more. But
okay.
My fan story actually is somebody in the blogosphere. Back in 2008, 2009, when I was starting out, I was looking for help on how to do all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And there was one person who was like the guy for bloggers, Darren Rouse from ProBlogger.net.
Oh, wow.
He lived all the way in Australia. He had this awesome Australian accent, so down to earth, so easy to learn from. And he was doing a live stream one night. And he lives in Australia, so it was like 3 a.m. in the US. And I was like, live streaming, this is amazing. Like, I can see him live. Like, it was sort of like a concert, but it was this blogger, right? So you don't have to be like a celebrity or artist. You can have fans no matter what you're doing. And I stayed up late, watched him on the live stream. And, he's interacting with the chat. I think it was on like ustream.com or something way back in the day. And I remember he was taking questions, and I asked a question. I don't even remember what I asked, but he was like, okay, next question. Pat Flynn from San Diego. And I like cried.
Aww.
At like 3 a.m. in my bedroom because this bald blogger in Australia said my name.
Yeah.
And it meant so much to me that like I felt seen. And he answered my question about blogging. It was probably something about like subject lines or something, or headlines. And like I was so much more connected to him after that because he just said my name and recognized me. And later, I became a successful podcaster. I invited him on my show. He invited me on his show, and then he invited me and my family to Australia to speak at his event, Pro Blogger. And then he like retired from that afterwards. But he made such a huge impact. I'm still a super fan of Darren. And if like he needed help with something, I would go out of my way to make sure he got it.
That's so awesome. And I want to just side note, like that's why I'm so excited to be the director of community, because that's who our audience is. Those Pats, 3 a.m. Oh my gosh, I can't believe they just said my name. Like I just love those people so much because I am those people. I have moments like that too with the people that I followed, and I started seeing results from them, and just without even meaning to, but just like looking up to them. And yeah, that connection, just you can't describe it. And it's like, what a blessing to be on the other side of that and make other people feel that way. I love it. It is addicting. And, you know, I can't wait to serve you.
Yeah. Amen. And speaking of serving our community, let's share some stories from our own community.
Okay.
We polled our community to have them share some of their Superfan moments. Let's talk about Renee really quick. Renee, she said she used to, this is Renee Allen, by the way, one of our members. She said, I used to work out at home for years with exercise videos after losing weight and getting stronger, doing Debbie Sieber's Slim in 6 workouts. What a name of a program, by the way, Slim in 6.
It
which
was
is
the
great.
90s.
Yes. And she submitted her story to Beachbody. She got an invitation to film with Debbie as a background exerciser in her next fitness series. And then they met. You know, she kept looking at her and like, there she is. Like, that's who I've been watching every day when working out. And now she's like in a workout video with her, which is such a cool story, Renee. And now you have that like, I don't know, on VHS or something somewhere, or on CD or DVD, you know, to always remember. And you said that you were so flustered from meeting her that you accidentally put on her tank top that she had worn to rehearsal, and it was super tight, but I figured that's what I had to wear. And then when I walked out and she told me I had to put on her, that she had put on Debbie's top, she fell over and she had to mellow out a little bit after that. That's a fun story.
That is fun. I mean, how hilarious. You're already nervous. I'm sure she was nervous as all get out, right? And then she puts on this top like, oh, well, it's TV. It's Hollywood, right?
Like, nope,
it's too tight, but that's Hollywood, I guess. And then the person that she's there, you know, fangirling over or whatever, it's like, hey, you have my shirt. Like, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
But what a memory. Like, how awesome. And that person probably remembers her, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, you were the woman who put on my shirt.
Yeah, you're the shirt girl.
Renee, thank you for that.
Yeah, I love that. I love this one from Jody. She says, I'm a diehard New York Rangers fan. Been going to hockey games since I was a little girl. In 2019, the team was honoring its Stanley Cup championship, and I was invited to the event. I was determined to get Mark to sign my jersey. After a great discussion, he was walking off stage, and I jumped over people to follow him. I reached him, and he apologized and said he had to go off in the other room. I started telling him how much I love hockey and how being at the game was one of the highlights of my life. He smiled. I handed him a Sharpie, turned around, and he signed my jersey.
Mark Messier. I remember watching him on the New York Rangers. That's cool. I was a big fan of Nolan Ryan.
Yeah.
Who's a pitcher from the Texas Rangers from back in the day. And this was when I was a kid. They didn't have internet or anything like that. I wrote letters to my favorite baseball players. And I must have written like 20 or 30 of them, because that's what you do. And you like hope they send something back, like an autograph.
Right.
And Nolan Ryan sent me back an autograph.
Wow.
And I still have that in my office today. And that's, again, a huge reason why I'm a big fan of his. And yeah, I loved the other ones, but he sent me a message back. And to your point about the community and what we're trying to do here, like helping people feel like that they're important is really important to us, right? Like not just having them extend their hand for a handshake, but shaking it back is really key. And that's something that I will say that the community for a while, like we just kind of lost those kinds of moments of touch. And that's what Liz coming on and we're trying to bring back for you. And like those little things go a very long way.
Right. And we want to teach people that too with the Superfan system of it's not just this grind of content. Yes, of course, you need to make content. You know, Pat's been doing his podcast for a bajillion years. I think that's accurate.
I think 2 bajillion years at this point.
You know, he has 10 bajillion pieces of content on the internet, right? But it's those touch points. It's that, you know, those voice memos that he's doing on Friday, walking the dog, that really count. And that's what we want to teach you to do too. Slow down, pay attention to who's following you, who does show up every single time, who's commenting. oh my gosh, I can't believe you just commented for me, right? Like, who are those people and how can we pay better attention to them, especially in this world of AI, in this world of scaling? Not everything is scalable and not everything should be scalable.
Yeah.
Right? I love H2H, human to human. That's what I'm always trying to get at. I don't care B2B, B2C. It really is just that human to human connection. And that's what I love about the Superfan system is it brings it back to that always.
For sure. I'm looking here and there's a couple people, Joe and Junaid, both who mentioned me and meeting me. And again, I'm not here to just talk about myself, but like they're telling stories about moments when they first remembered meeting me. And Joe here told the story about Card Party. He brought his son to Card Party, didn't know anything about Pokemon, didn't even know who I was. But because of the way I interacted with his son at the meet and greet, Joe became a fan at that point. And now they're buying tickets to my event and they're like talking about Deep Pocket Monster and sharing me with their friends and all this stuff. And it's like, that's the cool thing about Superfans too. When you make people feel good, they want to make other people feel good by bringing them into that same ecosystem. Right. And now two people who didn't know each other because they're wearing the same baseball hat with the same symbol on it have a connection. And that's what you could do as a community leader, right? You can bring people together in that same way. And it's not hard. It just takes a little bit of work and care. And just like, to quote Gary Vee, just give a crap.
Amen.
You know what I mean? Like, let's get back to that.
Yeah, I always say like, no one can out-care me.
Yeah,
right?
I was going to say nobody can out-crap me, but that doesn't
all right. Anyway, Catherine from Mindfulness Made Easy says, one of the most meaningful moments came from a listener who regularly joined my live journaling and breathwork sessions, reached out with an 8-hour layover in Atlanta, asked if we could meet. Of course, I said yes. We spent time walking through a park near my office. She shared that my voice had helped her through difficult moments and brought her a sense of calm she could return to. It was incredibly humbling. Pat and I have already talked about that. Like, it's just that impact is like, whoa, it makes you double down on your people. And doesn't, it's instead of like, you would think that would go to your head. But for me, it just makes me double down. It humbles me for sure.
For sure. And this is where it's like, if you have an email list and you're like, I only have like a couple hundred people on it. And, we talk about big numbers sometimes and you get jaded by that and you feel like you're not good enough because your numbers are so small. Every one of those 200 people are 200 human beings, each of which could be impacted by you in some way, shape, or form. And when you're smaller, that's your opportunity to actually spend more time with them. You have the advantage when you're smaller to pay more attention, to be there for a larger percentage of your audience. And that's why we had to have Liz come on, because we got to double down and get more people involved with making you feel like you're a part of this and welcome. But when you're just starting out, that's your huge advantage. And you can make people feel like Catherine or like Jeremy here from Church Growth Coach, who is working with somebody who he was once a fan of, which is awesome. Justin here talking about how he met Mark Manson, who's the author of, The Subtle Art of Giving an F, and how that impacted his life. Like, there's so many stories here that we could pull out. And so we want you to read these stories and be these stories. And we want you to tell your stories of people being fans of you in the SPI community too. So if you're not in the SPI community already, you can kind of already get a sense of the kind of people that are here, not just because of Liz and I, but because of the people whose stories we're sharing. We want to share more of these stories. We're going to invite more of our community members to share them more fully in podcast episodes as well. So look out for that soon. But smartpassiveincome.com is the community you want to be a part of. So go to superfans.smartpassiveincome.com. You'll see what we have to offer there for you and how you can get involved. We would love to see you in there. And even if you're just starting out, we know that you're not maybe a super fan yet, but we want to prove ourselves by giving you the information you need to get some results. And our goal is you'll become a super fan of us in the community and start sharing it on your own. We don't spend money on ads. You never did. We never did. We want to have the results that we offer our community be those ads for us. And that's what the power of Superfans can offer you.
Amen.
Amen. So thank you for you, if you're watching and you're a super fan, or listening and you're a super fan, for being a super fan. And if you're not a super fan yet, we have to earn that from you. And we would love to give you moments of time to be able to do that. So again, superfans.smartpassiveincome.com. Liz, thank you so much. Any final words for anybody who's out there building superfans?
Just keep going.
Just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming. All right.
I hope that's not copywritten.
Oh, no. We might have to cut that out. No. Appreciate you. Thank you. Thanks, Liz.
You.
Hey, before you head out, Liz and I want to tell you about something we are both really excited about.
Okay, so you just listened to an entire episode about building your business, and now you're probably thinking, okay, but where do I actually start? Am I right?
Yeah, that's exactly the problem that the Superfan system solves. It's a complete framework built right into the SPI community, and it takes you through every level of building a loyal audience, from getting clear on who you're serving all the way to creating genuine superfans who show up for everything that you can do.
And I can tell you from personal experience, this stuff works. I built my entire business on real relationships and real connections. No ads, no gimmicks, just showing up for my people at every level. That's what the Superfan system teaches you to do.
It meets you exactly where you are, whether you're just starting out or you've been building a business for years and you feel like something's missing. Well, there's a level for you in here and a clear path forward.
Courses, community, live support, all of Pat's courses over the years, it's all inside. Honestly, though, for me, the community alone is worth it because these are my people and these are your people too.
Yeah, so come on in. And if you're ready to stop guessing and start building something real,
head to superfans.smartpassiveincome.com.
We're both super excited to see you inside.